What is up, boys and girls? Welcome to another episode of The Slip Angle, where tonight we're going to be talking about Mr. Matchew MX-5 himself. The one with, how many views is that reel up to that you did?
Like 15 million.
15 million on Instagram.
I love you, and I miss you.
Now, if only one of our videos can do that good.
No, not even close.
Not even close. We're going to talk about the setup on Matchew's turbocharged MX-5 Miata because of how much of an improvement and how awesome this car performed on track at Lime Rock Park when we tested it for the Slip Angle. This is so much fun! Matchew! Oh my gosh, buddy! Watch out for the rocks!
Not even that many changes to the car either from the first time. It's still it's got a different turbo set, different manifold and downpipe and suspension alignment. That's pretty much it.
So let's recap. We tested this car years ago.
Yeah, it was like the first video we did.
It was the very first episode, the official episode of the Slip Angle in our 3-part Miata series. But we tested Matchew's car first, and it didn't do bad.
Yeah,
but
it needed some sorting.
It needed some sorting.
The brake bias wasn't very good.
It had a little bit too much front brake bias, a little bit too much understeer. The alignment was...
It was more for a grip, like an all-out grip. It had very close rear camber to the front camber.
Yep.
I basically took the specs from like 949 Racing, what they recommended, which is a grip. You know, that's all I was doing was autocrosses. So.
Yep. And it was a little bit harder to hoon at the limit. The balance was a little bit unfriendly. But overall, it did okay. There was just room for improvement.
Yep.
So in the most recent episode, which was not that long ago we aired it, it was from the 2021 season. Mm-hmm. The car did amazing. And I think I said on camera, this is one of the best setup Miatas I've ever driven. Dude, this thing's like one of the best setup Miatas I've ever driven. And I kind of said it was actually better than my ITB NB Miata.
I just remember you saying, "Holy Moses, smell the roses," I think it was.
Yes.
Something like that.
Holy Moses, smell the roses!
That cracked me up.
It was a riot because the setup just worked so well. Mm-hmm. It did a great lap time. Yeah. It was a joy to pitch around.
That's exactly what I wanted. It was that balance of like fun, hoony stuff, but still you can still drive it tighty if you want to.
And like, I don't know about you guys at home, but like that's the way a sports car should be. You know, at the end of the day, are you racing this in some spec series where the mods are limited? No. So you might as well set it up to how you like it so you can enjoy it.
That's all I want to do is just enjoy driving.
You know, and that's fine if that's your thing. Right? But like at the end of the day, like what are you really trying to do with the car? Do you want to have fun? Are you chasing tenths everywhere and you just want to like put down the fastest lap time? Or are you actually competing in a spec series where you have to do these mods in order to be competitive, right?
At that point, it doesn't seem like fun to me. Like it's just...
I felt that way racing spec Miata. It just seemed, it's just too serious. Like if you're trying to like compete, like you gotta do all the things and that's it. You know, you can't drive like a knucklehead. I like driving like a knucklehead.
Yeah. So what the changes?
Let's talk about the changes. What makes this car do so well, and what did you do since the first episode, which I encourage you guys to go back and watch both. And if you watch them back to back, you really see the difference in how much of an improvement this car was.
Well, originally, when we tested it first, I just installed a proportioning valve along with my Woolwood brakes and everything.
Yep.
And I hadn't really tuned it yet. So a lot of the brake bias was set to the front, which didn't...
So real quick note on what that does.
Yeah.
The more front brake bias you have on the car, when you're heavy on the brakes, the more it's going to kind of understeer a little bit. You're not going to get as much of the weight transfer as you want. Having more rear brake bias is going to allow that rear to start to rotate more. Mm-hmm. And that was my experience when I drove your car, was that there was a lot of push. I couldn't really pitch the car on brakes versus the rebuttal episode. Not really rebuttal, but like whatever. Like
new track layout.
New track layout.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually like kind of screwed up coming into the skid pad like really hot, but I was like, I'm like just pitching this car.
It just pitched on brakes.
You guys can't see it, but when I initiated drift, when I try to like actually show the handling balance, I'm coming in hot on the brakes, expecting the car to start to rotate as I'm just braking in a straight line because like there's always a little bit of yaw on the wheel. Mm-hmm. And that's going to pitch the car one way or the other. And then usually like a little bit of a Scandinavian flick, and that's where I initiate the slide and catch it. But it's always on the brakes. So especially the new track layout, I mean, it punishes front tires.
Yep.
So what happens is these the front tires are getting hot on a lot of these cars, and that was really noticeable this year or this past season.
Genesis was so bad.
And they just turn into understeer fests. Like I can't pitch them and rotate them on brakes, which is what I want to do in a well set up sports car. I don't want a hydro handbrake because that's just taking it to a whole other level.
Yeah. So yeah, the brake bias was I finally tuned that a little bit. I added a lot more rear bias, and then the big thing was my good buddy Eric. He did an alignment in this car to my spec, which was basically taking almost all the rear negative camber out. I think I have like 0.75 degrees in the rear, and I added front ball joints, extended lower ball joints, which actually allowed me to get 3.5 degrees of front negative camber. And I mean, you could clearly see the difference by like just looking at it. And that really started making the car behave the way I liked it.
And I'll be honest, I always try to aim for like 1 degree difference, like 1 degree more negative in the front than the rear. If you can do it. Now, I'll be the first to say, my ITB Miata, I couldn't get it with the factory eccentrics.
Yeah.
But your ball joints, and I'm probably going to switch that car over to tubular arms at some point, like should allow that to do a differential like that. So my car's like kind of like more matched front and rear, and that creates a handling condition that I don't always like, right? Like it makes it a little bit more leerier at the limit. You got to be a little bit quicker to catch the slide. This thing, I couldn't believe how well that setup worked. Is that going to be the fastest alignment for lap times? Probably not.
No, definitely not.
No, but it makes the car very, very graceful and controllable at the limit, and it articulates like beautifully. It worked really well.
I also added a bit of toe in too, because I was at 0 toe front and rear,
which is like more edgy.
I think I did like a 16th in front and rear.
And that's typically what I run on a short wheelbase car like this. So just so you guys are aware, we'll do like just a quick rundown of what the effects of alignments do on cars, and then also the toe. So the toes, real quick, 0 toe or toe out, which like I probably wouldn't want to do on anything, gives you that real go-kart quick turn in. But what the caveat is that at high speeds, the car gets more nervous in the steering, and you're constantly kind of like doing the monkey thing.
It's hard to zero it out on if you're like cruising on the highway.
Because you're always like putting like input into it, like not meaning to. I like what you just said, like a 16th in, even a 30 second if you're really trying to be like precise. But 16th in is like usually safe, and a little bit of towing in the rear usually keeps the rear a little bit more stable too on most cars.
Yeah, I read like something if you wanted your car to drift, a little bit of towing in the rear.
Yeah, makes it rotate. Yeah. Well, it just keeps it like more like stable. Yeah. The toe out like does the same effect in the rear. It makes it like kind of like more darty. Yeah. Alignment. Typically, I mean, depending on what you're trying to do, safe alignments, and most factory sports cars have less negative camber in the front than in the rear. What that does is it induces understeer. It makes the car push a little bit.
Safer on the roads.
It's safer on the roads because it means that you could be more of a knucklehead on the gas, and it makes the car harder to rotate on gas. That's why they do it. They're not expecting you guys to be a competent enough driver, and it doesn't look good for a brand when people are constantly crashing their cars.
If people get into an oversteer situation on the road that don't have any experience, they're gonna do foot to the floor with the brake, and that's gonna transfer even more weight to the front, and then you're just gonna spin it. You're just gonna lose it.
But if you're a competent driver, you're probably not gonna want that. I drove that ND, did a fast, it's a supercharged ND 2, or it was ND1. And it might have been ND1.
Yeah, I think it was an ND1,
Yeah, anyway, supercharged ND. He had less camber in the front than in the rear. The car did a pretty good lap time, but it had good tires, it had coilovers, but that was his alignment. And when if you watched that episode and you saw when I started to do the handling balance test on it, it's
not as great.
Super edgy, and I put his tires off into the grass because the front and the rear are fighting for grip, and typically the front washes out when the rear is actually gaining grip quicker than the front when it's in that situation, and you get into this like understeer condition that it's just not good, and it makes the car very snappy when you start to approach that limit, because again, it doesn't want to do that based on the alignment. You technically have less grip in the front than in the rear, so trying to overpower the rears and get them sliding and lose traction before the front, the front and the rear are fighting each other. I like more negative in the front than in the rear. That usually leads to more graceful rotation, more ease at the limit handling. Depending on what you're trying to do, I don't know what's necessarily best for all out like lap time, it's going to really be car
It's
dependent.
gonna be pretty balanced, I think. I would assume.
Probably pretty balanced, but again, it's going to be car dependent, right?
Yeah.
Weight balance is going to be a big, like engine placement. Where's the engine? What's the drivetrain layout?
Yeah.
Like, what's the
Tire
suspension?
compound, like
Tire compound.
yeah,
What's the suspension? There's a lot of factors that go into, like, if you're trying to set fast as a lap time in a particular like platform. But in general, for front engine rear wheel drive cars, usually more negative camber in the front than in the rear is the way to go for like an enjoyable driving experience.
And I do also still drive this on big tracks. Like I do full out track days, and I guess my thought process was like the alignment is perfect for Lime Rock, like when I'm doing the slow speed like Hooney type stuff. But I added a rear wing to try and like
give it a little more stability.
Give it a little bit more stability in the rear for when I'm doing the more high speed stuff. It's just kind of like the best of both worlds the way I look at it.
Yeah.
And I've definitely I actually got it to understeer when I added a little bit too much angle to this wing. This is an APR GTC 200, by the way. When I added a little bit too much to this, it pushed. It was wet, so I mean, it was. I don't know if that had something to do with it, but like it did start to push with the right amount of angle.
It could. Wet conditions will change the balance a little bit.
Yeah.
A lot of front engine cars just sheer by having more weight. Well, I mean, this is supposed to be 50-50, but having weight on the axle itself, I feel like you don't have an engine over your rear axle. Okay?
Yeah.
So there is 200 plus pounds in the turbo kit and everything over the wheels. Like that does something in wet conditions. It gets exaggerated more. Turbo setup.
It
was super responsive.
That was another huge difference too. Is like I have Derek, the defensive octopus. I have his manifold and 3-inch
Instagram handle.
Yep. I switched to that from the cast iron log style manifold that came with the Flying Miata kit, and honestly has a cast iron elbow too, which I feel like was very restrictive.
Yep.
Switching to a full 3-inch downpipe and an equal length manifold, I think made a big difference in spool performance in the thing. That made a big difference. I think I was running less boost the most recent time you drove the car as opposed to the first time.
Yep.
Too, but just it has all that power down low.
The response was amazing.
Yeah.
This felt almost like NA power with how the power delivery was down low. With that being said, I think you can use another 6, 7, 8 psi.
Yeah, probably.
And really get this thing to where you would want it for horsepower numbers, but. Because it was lacking a little bit in the top end, but the mid range and the low end was very, very impressive. Yep. And I was in third gear. I mean, granted, you have a 6-speed.
That's another difference. We have a 6-speed in the car now too. I grenaded a 5-speed when I got a little boost happy once.
Dude, they all do that. Yeah. I killed 2 trannies in my turbo 1.6 for the same. They just can't handle that much power through them.
And supposedly the 6-speed is stronger, although I've heard it's only the Mazda speed 6-speed. I don't know. I don't know if it is or not, but I've turned down the boost a little bit because I just want this thing to last. It's just a track toy, and I drive it on the street occasionally. So I went with the 6-speed.
In this car, I was using third gear, where most cars I would
third
be
and fourth.
Third and fourth.
Into fourth.
Yeah, most cars I'd be second, third on that track.
The gear ratios are much closer.
Yep.
Yeah, so that's really the only differences. Over the winter, I actually, I put the wing on the thing, and I also swapped in an NA6 dash.
It looks way more period correct.
Did a little bit of flocking with the Tombstone. Installed the Miata Roadster shifter. Got it nice and tall too. It's reminiscent of the Cobra, in my opinion. I just like how it's angled and up closer to the wheel.
The NA6 dash looks so much cleaner.
I think I took a little bit of weight out of it.
Probably.
Doing that too. But yeah,
no airbags.
Happy. Very happy how the whole thing came out.
No more passenger airbag.
No more passenger airbag.
And no driver airbag, which you're
and I redid the door cards too. You see the door cards? Those are all
Oh yes, very nice, very nice.
Yep.
Matt, we should be seeing shots of this right now as we're talking.
Yeah. I'll show some B-roll and the seats. The seats I did over the winter too.
And these seats worked well. They were not uncomfortable on track.
These you didn't have. I had Corbo A4s before. These I did over the winter. So.
Excuse me.
You should drive it again.
I should drive it again.
But yeah, that's pretty much it. That's the setup.
Well, that's the setup. It doesn't take much. Right? The setup is everything in what dictates a car's handling balance. It really is important. It's those little details. And Matt's car wasn't far off, but a little bit of tuning went a huge way on this. And
the alignment was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
The car transformed with the alignment.
Much better.
Yeah.
So that's it. You guys are asking. That's his setup. Feel free to replicate it. Blow up Matt's Instagram. Go watch that reel that is doing like a gazillion views. Which, by the way, I remember I was in college when that
was like when it was
audio
like a Bugatti, right?
It was like it was a Bugatti Veyron.
We'll show a clip of it right now. I don't know. I was just like feeling nostalgic, and I was like, oh, I saw someone else do it. So I took the audio.
Disclaimer: that poor girl. All right, like I feel bad for that girl. Like, but like whoever thought to put that audio to cars.
It just faded away. So the audio was like perfect. It like faded away so perfect as my car was fading into the distance.
we used one of my old college buddies and I we would like literally call each other like, "Hey Joe, what's going on?"
I love you. I miss you.
So bad. All right, on that bombshell, I feel like
it.
Top Gear here.
Oh
but
yeah.
We're
Someone
gonna.
wants to make me an offer on this too. I'd be, maybe I'd.
It's for sale? Are you plugging
no,
this
I'm
thing
not
for
gonna
sale?
sell it. I don't
boy.
It wouldn't be worth it. I'd never get what I put into it.
You never know.
if someone
On
offered
today's
me a lot of
market, all
money,
these cars are worth a lot of money now.
It's only got 54,000 miles.
This is a gem
It's clean. It's no rust, nothing.
with a nice turbo setup on it and really well set up suspension. All right, well, throw Matchew your offers. Maybe he'll sell it to you. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for supporting our channel. Check out our webinars and
our photo page too.
And Matchew's photo page. He does track photos.
Yep.
And that's it. Leave your comments. We will answer them, and we will see you guys in the next one. Good night.